Now, I want to close off this section talking about the W-2 and the 1099, I mean, the 1040 and those types of tax forms that we are also led to believe that we're supposed to be filling out. There are actually no requirements to fill out those forms if you do not owe the tax or if you haven't, had someone collect the tax in your name. So the W-2 form is actually something that an employer is required to fill out, and it's basically reporting that they had withheld money from the employees and that they're basically telling the IRS how much they've withheld, and then they report the amount to the employees so that they can then turn around and file a 1040's. The 1040's are also, could be filled out by the employer as well as the employee, because they're all kind of involved in this income thing that is going on. All of that is all dependent, though, on you signing a W-4 or signing a W-9. So all of it goes back to those withholding certificates where we have, under perjury, said that we are non-resident aliens, or we are an in-between. We're a U.S. person. We're in this chain between the vendor and the employee, or the final person, the non-resident alien. And so if we've determined, or if we've signed something stating that we are that person, then we're obligated to have to do that. Now, in situations where you have your bank that had you sign a signature card and it actually included language for a W-9 and they didn't actually tell you, I have actually had conversations with my bank, and they have allowed me to put in an affidavit stating that, I'm withdrawing that W-9 signature, and that I do not have anything to do with non-resident aliens, and I'm not a pass-through, and I'm not a beneficial owner of any money that's going to a non-resident alien. And they have agreed to put that into my file for the bank. What good does it do you? I don't know, because unless something happens and I end up in court, I at least have it on file with the bank that they've been made aware of the fact that I signed something that was done in error. And the fact that they don't tell you any of this stuff is even more questionable, but we'll save that for another day. So what I'm thinking for this series is we're pretty much done proving that we're not non-resident aliens and we're not supposed to be paying this income tax. But also, even if you are a non-resident alien, it's only taxing U.S. source income, where they have defined the United States as being the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, those kind of places. So even if you are a non-resident alien, that code doesn't apply inside of the several states. But what I'm thinking for the next group of videos that we're going to try to go through here is, how do we get out of this system? How do we remove ourselves from this obligation that we've inadvertently signed ourselves up to? I will tell you what I have been doing, because I have not paid income taxes in about 4 years now. What I started doing is I started out writing letters to the IRS asking for assistance. I basically laid out the information that I have on what the law says, and asked them to please help me to understand this. I basically took it on, and it was true. My CPA couldn't answer any of my questions. And so I tried to hire some attorneys, and they wouldn't they canceled the meeting as soon as I told them what it was in reference to. And so I was kind of left sitting here with no assistance. And so my only thought to try to get some help was to mail letters to the IRS. And I told them I'm not trying to break any laws. I am simply trying to follow the laws as they're written. And there's a massive problem here. Like this absolutely does not pertain to me, and I'm confused as to why I'm being forced to file a W-4 and a W-9 and all this other stuff. And could you please help me? This has been going on. I've probably mailed letters, affidavits, notices to the IRS for the last 4 years. I've probably every couple months I'll send them another one. I've gotten no replies back for that have been any assistance whatsoever. I've also gotten no threatening letters or anything else back from them. But it is interesting that they haven't even bothered to engage at all. The idea behind that is that, I have no intention of breaking the law. I'm not one of those renegades that's going to run out and just break the law just to break the law. The law says what it says, and all I'm doing is trying to follow what it says. So that's step one, is it might be a good idea if you're thinking about doing this to send a certified letter, get a return request on it so you know and can prove that they actually got it. Be very respectful. Just explain to them that you've run across this information and where is the law that actually pertains to a citizen in the 50 states, because you can't find it, and it seems to all deal with these non-resident aliens. So, and really that's just kind of a cover your butt thing. I don't know what they do with these letters. They probably just throw them in the trash. Maybe they put them in your file. But it could be that letter will get your file checked off to not be a taxpayer, and they'll just leave you alone. The other things that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to research. I mentioned that I wrote an affidavit to the bank letting them know about the W-4. And so I'm trying to go through what works and what doesn't. I don't know where I'm going to end up. I may change some of the stuff, but in the next section of videos, I think I'm going to start putting things like the affidavit to the bank, the affidavit sent to the IRS, those kind of things, just to kind of start laying out exactly what is being done, in case you want to look at it and form your own stuff off of it. But I feel like at this point, pretty firmly, that there's no way that you could come in and give me another law that shows that a W-9 is for anything other than what it actually says it's for on its own face. So I feel like we've got a pretty solid foundation to stand on, and it's just a matter of, experimentation to see where we end up after this.